Finance is frequently taught as a hard science. We are conditioned to believe that wealth is the product of perfectly rational spreadsheets, complex discounted cash flow valuations, and a master-level grasp of mathematics. Technical skill is clearly an advantage, but a high IQ is no guarantee of financial stability. The world is full of brilliant software engineers who struggle to save a dime, while individuals with no formal training, like a retired secretary or a local janitor, frequently amass multi-million-dollar fortunes. Highly intelligent people with Ivy League degrees routinely find themselves in bankruptcy court. This paradox suggests that amassing wealth depends on something deeper than a person's ability to solve a math equation. In practice, financial outcomes are determined by billions of individuals acting as emotional, unpredictable inputs. This makes finance a social science, where the variable is human behavior rather than a fixed chemical property. Treating the global economy as a predictable mathematical model fails to account for the psychology of the humans running it. A single person's financial worldview is shaped by the specific era they were born into. Someone who experienced high inflation during their formative years will carry a different set of biases into the market than someone who grew up during a decade of stagnant prices. When you multiply that individual behavioral complexity by the billions of people participating in the global price discovery system, the number of variables becomes astronomical. This compounding human complexity ensures the financial system remains beyond the reach of any mathematical model or predictive superentity. We tend to study the most successful people to reverse engineer their formula, often overlooking how frequently outcomes depend on factors outside an individual's control. Bill Gates is undeniably brilliant, but his early success relied on a unique advantage. In 1968, he attended one of the only high schools with a mainframe computer, giving him access to coding hours that were statistically unavailable to almost any other teenager on Earth. Gates had a high school friend named Kent Evans who shared the same aptitude and drive. They were supposed to found a company together, but Kent died in a mountaineering accident before they graduated. Acknowledging the role of fortune is difficult for the ego. Ignoring it, however, creates an illusion of merit, where we mistake a one-time convergence of timing and opportunity for a replicable financial strategy. Rational financial models rely on historical data, operating on the assumption that past stability provides a reliable map for the future. History cannot account for the unprecedented. Outlier events, like the Fukushima disaster shown here, are the massive surprises that reshape the global landscape, yet never appear in a backward-looking model. During World War II, a fleet of German panzer tanks held in reserve failed to start when they were finally needed. Field mice had nested inside the machinery and chewed through the electrical wiring. No engineer's spreadsheet predicts mice in the machinery. If historical data is the only roadmap, a system remains vulnerable to the next surprise that has no precedent. Many investors believe success requires a high batting average, the ability to consistently pick winning stocks and time the market correctly. This visualization shows the power of tail events. It is mathematically possible to be wrong 99% of the time, provided a single massive success covers every previous loss. Success shifts from being a perfect predictor to building a system that allows you to stay in the game without going bankrupt. Financial survival depends on your ability to outlast a failure rate required for a tail event to eventually occur. A rational investing plan is a cold math equation. For example, a young investor might put 100% of their savings into high-risk equities because the math says they have 40 years to recover from a crash. But you are not a spreadsheet. The panic captured in this crowd during the 1929 crash illustrates the emotional reality of a market drop. Seeing your life savings vanish in a week causes a psychological break that often leads people to abandon even the most rational mathematical plan. Choosing to be reasonable means making decisions that prioritize emotional endurance. This might mean holding more cash than a spreadsheet would recommend, simply to ensure you don't sell in a panic during a downturn. A strategy that survives a market crash, because it is emotionally sustainable, will always outperform an optimization the investor abandons the moment they get scared. Since the future is unplannable, financial security is found in invisible frugality. Spending less than you earn is a hedge against the unknown. This leads to the room for error fund. capital saved specifically to weather the surprises that no model can anticipate. True financial longevity comes from planning for the plan to fail, allowing enough time for the heavy lifting of compounding to occur.